how did no one survive the Hour of Joy? On August 8th, 1995, Playtime Co.'s own experiments turned on the company and killed everyone in sight. But this makes me wonder, how come no one escaped the Hour of Joy? Considering the facts that Playtime Co. was abandoned with experiments still inside, it seems that no witnesses were able to survive and leave the factory to tell the story. So what happened? Well, the first thing that we know for certain is that although many of the toys were doing the killing, the whole thing was orchestrated by one toy in particular, the prototype. This was most likely due to the prototype's deep hatred for Playtime Co. As in a Chapter 3 tape which we find right after Catnap's death, we hear a conversation between Harley Sawyer and the prototype, where the prototype is angry at Sawyer, asking him if he even feels anything when he beats and tears at his experiment's flesh.
Do you feel anything?
This question referred to what exactly?
You stick us, beat us, tear at flesh. Do you feel it?
But the prototype wasn't just angry, but also insanely intelligent at the same time. In a Chapter 2 tape, which we find right after killing Mommy Longlegs, we hear of an event where the prototype almost escaped his containment by outsmarting the employees watching over him. He took an alarm clock along with other things in this room and built a literal laser pointer. And although this is cool on its own, if you look at this dude's fingers, I'd be impressed if I could see this dude use a fork to eat spaghetti, let alone build a whole laser pointer. But after making it, he used it to disable the camera and hide in one of its blind spots. So once the camera turned back on, the employees were confused as to where he went, which is when one of them made the decision to go inside to check and see what happened. But because of this, the prototype tried to escape as the door was now open, but because another employee was watching, they were able to remotely lock the door, but the other scientist was still inside, leading to their death. And so with the prototype being the mastermind behind the Hour of Joy, motivated by rage and smarter than Albert Einstein watching a poppy theory video, you can see that the prototype could very easily make sure that absolutely no one would escape. But what makes this theory even more interesting is that it was very important and pretty much essential that no one would escape to tell what happened. And this is because of what we hear in the untitled tape. In the tape, Poppy is venting about the Hour of Joy, saying that although she knew it was coming, she thought that they were gonna leave the factory. However, the prototype was able to convince her that they can't ever leave the factory, no matter what. His reasoning was that since they just gained their freedom, it's possible that if they leave the factory, other people might experiment on them as well, bringing them right back to the torture that they had already suffered for years.
He explained everything, and he's right. We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't ever let it happen to us or anyone ever again.
So the prototype 100% had the ability to come up with a plan good enough to kill everyone. And not only that, but he needed it to happen in order to ensure that he would survive. Which leads to the question, how did he do it? Well, in the Warden tape that we find in Chapter 4, we hear the Warden running away from the toys during the Hour of Joy, where he makes it into a room, most likely being his office, and he talks to Sawyer. And it's important to remember that the Warden was literally one of the highest ranking employees in the company, as he had omni-hand access, which means that this dude knew exactly how Playtime Co. operated. And because of this, he's not only shocked but confused as to how the toys were able to pull this off. But that's when Harley tells him this.
How could this happen? There's fail-safes, security measures. It's impossible.
Personal agendas have long been the downfall of this company.
Is it unreasonable to believe they were conspirators?
So if someone was helping the prototype to enact the Hour of Joy and they had some sway in the company, then this gives us something really good to go off of. Since we see that Huggy Wuggy was part of the Hour of Joy and we see him in the same spot that he stood when we saw him in chapter 1, then this means that the people around Huggy would easily be able to run right outside of the exit and escape. Because although Huggy is huge, he didn't kill everyone in 1 second. So there would have to be something that would have blocked them from escaping, meaning the prototype would need to somehow lock down the factory or block off the exit. When we first enter the factory, we find Huggy boxes in the gift shop that are ripped open, hinting that they weren't just toys, but experiments that somehow got put into these packages, which means that the prototype wouldn't need to block off the exit with shutters or locking the doors, but could have used the mini Huggies to kill whoever would try to escape. And because he managed to convince so many of the bigger bodies to kill everyone and even had some toys to block off the exits, then no one had a chance to survive, and they were all doomed to die sooner or later. But the main entrance isn't the only exit. There were other exits as described in the story of how the prototype and Theodore Grambo tried to escape using grab packs to open a door. We were close to escaping using the train in the game station, and Safe Haven itself was even designed to be a safe room for the employees in case something were to happen. So what did the prototype do with the other exits? Well, it seems that he didn't gain control over Safe Haven because we see the good toys living inside of it in chapter 4. Or it's possible that he did have control over it, but the toys took over. And as for the train, in the Hour of Joy tape, we see that there were people running towards the train, but Mommy Longlegs was right there waiting for them, where she grabs them, pulls them up high, and drops them right to their death. So with the prototype's intelligence, just like a chess player, he could have accounted for all the possible exits and had toys stationed there in order to ensure that no one would escape. And combining this with the fact that the Hour of Joy happened at the exact same time, there is zero chance that someone would be able to escape, which means that the toys currently inside of the factory are safe from outside influence. But that was until we showed up, and now pretty much everyone has died. Like, bro, Huggy, Mommy Longlegs, Catnap, Bunzo, the Buggies, Bunzo, the Huggies, the Safe Haven toys, Doughy, pretty much everyone is dead. But the thing is, the only reason that we came back to the factory is because someone wrote us a note telling us that the employees were still alive. And this emoji pretty much just explains that note. But even if we came back because of the notes, how come the police didn't catch on that a bunch of people went missing and all their cars were left outside of the factory? Well, that's a video for another day, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.